Welcome to my channel. I'm Scott, and if you want to catch my newest video, I post one every day. In this video, I am going to walk you through the process of valuing Castor Maritime stock by analyzing their financial statements and dissecting their financial ratios so we can determine if it's a buy or a sell. Castor Maritime ships goods using its ocean cargo vessels. The company currently has 12 vessels with an aggregate capacity of 1.1 million dry weight tons. The company's fleet consists of 1 Capesize, 3 Kamsarmax, 6 Panamax, and 2 Aframax tankers. Let's get started with the model. This is a small cap company, 615 million market cap. They're trading at $121 a share, and they have 509 million shares outstanding. Let's look at the financials. The way you value a company is you estimate the free cash flows into the future, and then you discount those numbers back to today's value. That's what we're doing in this video. Free cash flow is cash flow from operations minus capital expenditures. So you can see the company has negative free cash flow in 3 of the 4 years. Net income is the profit and loss on the income statement. It's revenue minus expenses. And they have positive net income every year except in the trailing 12 months. Revenue is a sales for the company, and that grows a lot each year. It doubles from 2 to 4 million, then goes up 50% to 6 million, and then nearly doubles to 11 million. This is the company's income statement. The top line is the revenue, the sales. Below that is the cost of revenue. Examples are cost of labor and cost of material. The difference between those two numbers is their gross profit, and they do have positive gross profit every year, and it also grows a lot each year as well. Below that is operating expenses. Examples are depreciation and marketing. Then below that is their operating income, and the company does have positive operating income every year. Below that is the interest they pay in their debt, then other income and expenses. This is usually impairments or other non-operational gains and losses. And the bottom line of the income statement is their net income. And they did have positive 1 million of net income until the trailing 12 months. They had negative $500,000. The main reason they had a loss was a negative $2 million in interest payments. This is the company's statement of cash flows. The top line is operating cash flow. That's how much cash the company generates from its operational business. Then you have capital expenditures, which are investments in property, plant, and equipment. Operating cash flow minus CapEx gives you your free cash flow. And you can see the company has negative free cash flow every year except in 2018. This company started in 2016, so most of their CapEx is investments in vessels. So if they continuously grow their company by buying more vessels, they should have positive free cash flow in the future. The most important part of any business is their operating cash flow. If you cannot generate positive operating cash flow, you don't have much of a business. This company does generate positive operating cash flow each year. You could think of operating cash flow as net income converted to cash, because net income is your accounting profit and loss. It's not actual cash. The way you calculate operating cash flow, you start with net income. Then we have to add or subtract the non-cash items on the income statement. They pass through a $900 million depreciation expense. That's a non-cash expense that brings down your net income, but we have to add it back here on a statement of cash flows. They also had $345,000 in changes in working capital. So even though the company reported a $1 million profit, they actually generated $2.3 million of cash flow. Let's look at the capital structure. 53 million of equity, 19 million of debt. They're 74% equity, 26% debt. And their net debt is negative 19 million. That means if they use the cash to pay off their debt, they can pay off all their debt and still have 19 million of cash left over. And their WACC is 7.5%, and that's a discount rate we're going to apply to the future cash flows. We estimated 4 years of future free cash flows. We also estimated terminal value, which is all cash flows past year 4. That's 744 million. We discounted those numbers back to today using the weighted average cost of capital. We get a value of the company of $487 million. We divide that by 509 million shares. And we get a calculated stock price of 96 cents. They're trading at 121, so they're trading at a 26% premium. It's a sell according to the model. It's really hard to value a company with such small revenue and negative free cash flow most years. So I had to look at analyst estimates. I also had to make some assumptions myself. So based off of the data, it looks like they will not become profitable until after 2024. There is a chance they can become profitable before 2024 or never become profitable. That's a chance you take when you invest in a company. This industry seems to be a bit risky. It doesn't seem like many companies are profitable who work in this industry. You could see the company IPO'd in 2019 and the stock was about $6 or $7 a share, but it's come all the way down to $1.21. This company has a beta of 0.69, so the stock moves less than the market. It's not volatile. The stock has gone up 15% in the past 52 weeks. The S&P 500 went up 17%. The 52-week low was 11 cents. The high was 260. And the stock is trading well above its 50-day and 200-day moving average. This is a really liquid stock. 170 to 240 million shares are traded each day on this stock. And of the 508 million shares outstanding, 131 million are on float. 14% are held by institutions, and 7% of the shares on float are shorted. If you invested $10,000 into this company when it IPO'd, you would have doubled your money right away. But if you kept holding, you'd be down to $2,400 today. It's a pretty bad return on investment. Empri Asset Management is the biggest shareholder at 2.5%. Then Anson Group, then Heights Capital Management, then Sabby Management, then L1 Capital. Let's look at their financial ratios. The average PE in the market's 9, the median is 14. PE is stock price over earnings per share. To calculate earnings per share, that's net income over shares outstanding. They have negative net income, so they have negative PE. When a company has negative PE, we look to the price to sales ratio. Price to sales is stock price over sales per share. They're at 56. So investors are paying $56 for $1 revenue. That's not a good price to sales ratio. Price to book is stock price over book value per share. They're 11.6. Interest coverage ratio is EBIT over interest expense. They can cover their interest payments 7.5 times. ROE is net income over equity. Negative net income, negative ROE. Current ratio is current assets over current liabilities. They can easily cover their current liabilities with their current assets. Their current assets are $38 million of cash and $877 million of receivables. So the company does seem to be well capitalized. They have $31 million of working capital and they had negative $16 million of free cash flow. So they have $15 million of funding. They should be able to get through another year without taking on any more debt or selling more stock. The best way to look at ratios to compare them to similar companies. The only other company I did in the same industry is Synergy. Both companies have negative earnings, so they have negative PE. Synergy is doing much better in price to sales and price to book. Castor has a better current ratio. Both companies have negative ROE since they have negative earnings. Castor is much lower in debt, and Castor is a much bigger company at $615 million market cap. Synergy is $173 million. And of course, neither company pays a dividend because they don't have much money left over to pay shareholders. So to summarize, I have them trading at a 26% premium, but it's really difficult to value this stock. Anything can happen. The stock may go really high and the company may do well in the future, but so far they've been really struggling. I rank their free cash flow as 1 out of 10 because they're negative in 3 of the 4 years. I rank their revenue 7 out of 10. It's really small, but they're growing it a lot each year. And I rank their ratio as 3 out of 10. They do have a lot of cash on their balance sheet from a recent capital raise, so that's good. And they don't have that much debt relative to their equity, but their price multiples are pretty weak. So let me know what you think. Give this video a like, subscribe, or comment below. Also, if you'd like to get a custom valuation or just support the channel, you can become a member by clicking on the link in the description below. Thanks for watching.